Hey, okay. So I gotta get my YouTube video in for today. Okay. Let's get it. Let's get it. Okay. What is this? What is this and why am I starting off here? Because I wanna create some history here. Okay. So I wanna create some history here. So let me tell you something. The according to the knowledge that we were taught that in 1611, okay, six no okay okay let's go back to 1600. It was said that somebody landed, somebody came here from a foreign land, okay, from a foreign land. Greetings, greetings. So, from a foreign land, we had some invaders come in, okay? Um, the story that we are taught in school is in 1492, Columbus has sailed the ocean blue. So, what does that mean? That means in 1400, 1500, Columbus landed in Hades. Hades is what we call the independent country. Hades also is what we call Turtle Island. There were many islands that were connected as Turtle Island. Um, so Turtle Island is where we live. We have a connection with the animals that are indigenous to the land. We have a spiritual connection with the animals that are in the land. Um, we share a bloodline with these animals because we created these animals. These animals evolved from our bloodlines. So therefore, we are connected. Um, so if Columbus sailed and he arrived in Espanol, that's what he called the island that he arrived in, and he found these people. And these people were already there. These people were indigenous to the land. These people were nomadic people. These people would travel back and forth to and fro across the land, the continent, right? These were nomadic people. These people would build up villages and cities everywhere that they go. These were the creators of civilizations. Okay, these are ancient people. Um, these are biblical people. So in 1611, the King James version of the Bible was revised. There is a 1611 book of the Bible. 1611. 1600, that's around the time the invasion started. Because if you go read the lost books of Columbus, his diary, you will find out that Columbus came to unalive, destroy, and get rid of things, destroy. That's what we call a devil, right? The devil kills, steals, and destroy, right? Okay, so we knew about this destruction though. We knew about this destruction because we were intuitive people. We were a divine people. We can calculate the stars. We knew when trouble was coming our way. Um, we're the ancient Naga civilization. You go and read the Sambo, the Asiatic man, the ancient Naga civilization, you will deeply understand how we have carved these stones. We have stone carvings inside the walls of these temples in Asia, what we call Asia. Asia is a body of land. So when we say Asia, we talking about Cambodia. When we say Asia, we're talking about Mexico. When we're talking about Asia, we're talking about here in Americas. When we're talking about Asia, we're talking about Southern America. I'm talking about there are glyphs everywhere that are inside these caves that you're not allowed access to. It's glyphs everywhere inside these tunnels that you have never seen and don't know exist. It is your proof is everywhere because you scripted and wrote it in stone because you knew you was gonna go into a deep sleep. You knew you was gonna go into a deep state of unconsciousness. You knew there were gonna be a 400-year curse placed upon you according to that Bible. Why? Because you caused this. You caused this when you didn't wanna when you wanted to operate out of an injured ego. When you chose not to heal. When you chose not to heal because you a healer, that's your birthright. You came here to heal. You would not have came here for anything else other than to heal the bloodline. So when you got hurt, that hurt, some people get blinded by they hurt. Some people become blind in their mind because of hurt, because of pain, because of sorrow. Why? Because they don't understand it. So when they don't understand it, they can't see it. So that's why they blind, right? So people become blind to these lessons. So you can't learn the lesson if you don't know it's a lesson because you blind, right? So this is how we get caught in generational curses because we never gonna learn the lesson because we don't know it's a lesson. Why? Because we affected by the pain that we feel when we go through the lesson. But we had to go through this pain in order to understand why we got laws, why we got order, why we are the law. Not we got laws. We are the law. We are the land, air, and the water. You are the consciousness. We have a universal consciousness. If one of us know it, we all know it. That's how it works. If one of us got it, we all got it. That's being the interconnected on the spiritual realm. That's the connection with the ancestrals. That's being the Aztec technology. Okay, so with the Virginia, they came to Virginia and there was some treaties that had been signed. Um, there had been some treaties that was signed. There had been some something that was going on between the chief Powhatan because that was the gatekeeper of the East. So Chief Powhatan would have been the gatekeeper of the East Gate, and he is the chief of this tribe here. And this tribe, they organized into an empire, and this was many different nations coming together to build that empire. So this was like the Cherokee Empire in the Virginia, Carolina area. And they were doing business with the Europeans. You can see that in the Pocahontas cartoon. Um, these people had came from London to conduct business, and they came on a ship, just like in the original movie. I just can't help to know that, but greetings, greetings. So they came together, right? And On the Pocahontas movie, it show you they threw Pocahontas off the balcony. They did. Go back and watch them. Well, you gotta research it, but they did her dirty for real. But when the way they did that is because they wanted access to the land. So the only way they could gain access to the land is for one of them to have a baby by a woman that belonged to the land so they can inherit the birthright of the land. So that's why when they came they start RAP and all the women. Does that make sense? Why they were RAPing the women? Yes, that's to corrupt your bloodline. That's to corrupt your seed. That's to corrupt your inheritance, right? That's to interrupt the natural flow that you have going on. So you see, we got corrupted from the inside, from within, right? Okay, so um, when these people, okay, so these people also use diseases to take us out. So a lot of the chiefs and a lot of the people, warriors that were fighting in these Seminole Wars, Gola Wars, these Indian Wars, they were being um, poisoned by smallpox, um, malaria, tuberculosis. You can go back in history and find out it was a yellow fever outbreak, it was a tuberculosis outbreak, it was a malaria outbreak. It was all these outbreaks, which were diseases. Right now, we currently have a HIV outbreak. We currently have a you know what outbreak, but nothing is new under the sun. They have been using diseases to take us out for our land. So stay woke on that aspect and understand when people were passing away from these diseases, what was happening here. It was a WAR. See, they show you pictures that the WAR was people outside with swords, going back and forth. No, that wasn't how it went. See, the WAR is to wage confusion on your mind as to how it happened. So we know we dealing with frequencies, right? We know we dealing with time, we dealing with space, we dealing with portals, we dealing with photons, we dealing with bending photons. If you could bend the photon, you can control what somebody else see. You could control what they see. So if somebody can control what you see, they can control what you think, they can control what you know, they can control what you say, they can control how you act, so they can control every aspect of you, right? So that's what slavery was all about, being controlled. So we understood that these diseases was waged on us. We understood that um all these things was gonna happen. And this is not the way, it's you would be blind in your mind if you don't know this stuff. You get what I'm saying? Because you looking for something physical. You wouldn't know how it is spiritually happening unless you are able to see it in the spiritual, right? To see it with your third eye, to see how the war is being waged against you, to see how everything has a cause and effect, to see how everything is silent. It's silent wars with silent weapons, right? And this has been happening since the 1600s when they came to Virginia to discuss doing business, to discuss e-commerce, to discuss trading at our ports. So that trading at our ports began to happened to be kidnapping of us, being put on ships and, traded around here and there. That's the whole, story we've been told. Um, we, so, like I was saying with Powhatan and the Mohawk Indians and several other nations of Indians were doing business with these people. Same as other portals that we had, like the Louisiana portal or the Mississippi portal or the Georgia portal. We had these different portals because we were already running a successful way of trading and, we already had something going on. So we started doing business with someone that was foreign that kind of took over the business and monopolized the business and kicked us out the business. Um, so that's how we ended up as prisoners of war because we didn't even realize that us doing business with these people that was actually waging war against us and was actually using a dark magic to control us, a dark magic to get us to cede up our power, get us to give up our power. So that dark magic that was being used was compelling. We were being compelled. We were being mind controlled, put under mental control. And we didn't realize it because it was a process that happened over time. So the Willie Lynch letter got a lot to do with how the implement was imposed on us, and it it, it says in the Willie Lynch letter that that the implement is guaranteed to work for over 400 years. So we dealing with a 400-year-old programming. So that can really do a number on your mind, on your mindset. So that's where we are as a people. But I just wanted to show you this our story is unfolding. And Virginia is one of those places that has a lot of significance to this story. Because when we were in Virginia, we were ran out of there. We were exiled out of there. And Virginia was connected to Florida, which means that was the region that we lived in. We were exiled out of our own land, which um, we fled into the Carolinas. A lot of people. Now, it was already people in the Carolinas, but I'm just telling you a story about a people that were attacked. So therefore they fled. And a lot of them fled down into the Carolinas to join up with their people, which happened to be the Gullah Geechee, the Seminole. They got the linking up with other nations and other tribes. So this is how a lot of people lost their names as well. Because when there was a time when you had to go and live with others, because you would hear several accounts of people saying that they had to run away from their homes and go live with Indians. So they are telling you, I had to leave my people, my village, where I knew, to go live with another type of people because my people were destroyed. My people were targeted. My villages were pillaged. My people were kidnapped. My people were compromised. So now I have to go and live with people that are like me, but those are not my direct people. That's like if we had to go live down south with our cousin, great honors, second cousins, or something like that. That don't mean they in our bloodline. It just mean we got to go live with a different people. They last name might be different from ours. They might move different than we do. But we have to go live with them because we can't stay here. So we migrated and went to go live and link up with our people in other regions. This is how a lot of us, got don't really know our history or can't find our history because this stuff happened to us, right? So we had to leave Virginia. A lot of us had to leave Virginia and go down into the Carolinas and Florida, right? So a lot of us left Virginia because of the war, and we fled to other areas. So then the war came down into the Carolinas. So now they having war. Now they moving on down the coast because they're exiling us from our land. They actually clearing the land out. So when they cleared the land, they started at one position and moved and worked their way down to the other position. That's how they got us to scatter to the four corners of the earth. So this is how you have all these different kingdoms that have been abandoned. This is how you have all this land that has been seeded up, given up. Why? Because if somebody is, like everybody passing away from something, you gotta go, right? Everybody's sick, you gotta go if you the healthy one, right? You don't have a choice but to be forced out your land because they said they use force. They use force. So if somebody is using diseases against you, that's gonna force you to leave where you at because you gotta think the tuberculosis outbreak going on. They got them in Carolina. They got them in Alabama, Georgia. Check your history. They had the yellow fever jumping off. They had smallpox jumping off, malaria jumping off. People is passing away. People losing their babies, people losing their mama, people losing their child. Do you understand when I say they was pillaging villages? Then you got the people kidnapping folk. It was a lot going on. Yes, people was getting up through. People was leaving, looking for better opportunities. People were giving up their ancestral plots. You understand? We all got ancestral plots, but a lot of us forgot where they was at. Why? Because we had to flee. We had to get up through. We went through trauma. You could check the Bible and see they stayed having to go somewhere. That's our people, but a lot of us don't realize the story right there. So then we all end up in Florida where we call ourselves Seminoles because that's the coming together, and we saying we gonna fight. We saying we gonna come together. Enough is enough. So we down there with them herbs. We down there healing one another. We down there laying hands on one another. We down there teaching the herbs. We down there teaching how to heal others. We down there teaching how to guard oneself because we know it's going down. We know what's about to happen. So this why a lot of our family end up losing the knowledge about the family. Cause you gotta think about it. Your grandparents ain't talk much about their family. Why? Cause they was at war. They didn't tell you a lot about their grandparents. Why? Cause they was running around fleeing from here to there for survival. They taught you how to survive. Why? Cause they was in a mindset of survival. Why? Cause they seen the war. They felt it. They sink the sorrow, they sink the pain, they sink the diseases and disorders that come from the things that we not doing right. We wasn't living right. We wasn't doing right. So this is how we end this all this entered into us in the first place. I mean, cause when I've been putting Abraham up here for the last couple of days, and I don't know if you realize, but God told Abraham, find some righteous people in the land and I won't destroy the land. Abraham said, find me some righteous men in the land and I won't destroy the land. And honey, Abraham couldn't find nobody. Abraham was walking up and down. Just Abraham was out here with a flashlight in the daytime looking for a righteous man and he couldn't find one. Nobody had my eye in their heart. Nobody was keeping the laws of the universe. Nobody was doing the right thing. It was a lot of wicked things. Yes, it was a lot of wicked things going on in the earth. A lot of wicked stuff was going on back in them days. I mean, the fact that in the Bible it got to tell you that mamas and daddy, like it got to tell you that you shouldn't have relationships with your son. It had to tell daddies you can't have a relationship with your daughter. They had to tell brothers and sisters you can't do that with your brother. Like it was going down. Like that's lust at its finest. The fact that they had to write that down in words to tell you you can't. It's certain things you just can't do. Damn it. Let's get some laws here, cause this is getting out of hand. So Abraham couldn't find not one person in the whole damn Sodom and Gomorrah. That's two damn cities. Can you imagine you done rolled around in your car in your whole city and you can't find one righteous person in your whole city? Then you fill your tank up and drive to a whole nother city and you still can't find nobody who right? That's a lot of wrong. That mean ain't no balance in the universe because you searching, seeking, and can't find nobody that's right. And that's how we living right now. Because everybody right in their own ass. Everybody right in their own ass. But when you read the Bible, it say you cannot lean to your own understanding. It say in that Bible, don't look at things with your flesh. Look at things with your heart. It say look at things with your mind. It say look at things with your knowledge and your understanding so you could gather wisdom. So that you gotta seek righteousness. You can't just assume that you righteous. You know I used to be like that. I assumed I was gonna go to heaven because of who I was. Now that's some entitlement shit right there. I assumed I was righteous. I assumed I was the truth. I assumed I knew the difference. I assumed I knew what things meant. I assumed that I understood things. I assuming only make an ass out of you. I was out here assuming my ass off. Assuming and knowledge are two different things. Because it's a bunch of assumers out here. And assuming things are not going to get you anywhere in life. You could assume it's money in your bank account. But if it ain't none, that assumption is going to be your downfall. Because you need to know. You need to be accurate. You need to be able to have every dollar accounted for. You can't be making no assumptions here. When it comes to your real life, you can't be assuming anything. You have to know. They say if you know better, you could do better. You can't just assume that you're going to do better because you ain't going to never do better. Why? Because you just assuming. There's a big difference between assuming and knowing. Make sure that you a knower and not an assumer. Because it's a bunch of assumers out here. People assume stuff every day instead of going to research and remember and remind themselves. Because when you research and you remember, you tapping into Ra. Remember that. Because Ra is the falcon that sits on your brain and the bird is the word. That is right brain, left brain, ability to fly. The only way you accessing that is research, remember, retain, regain, regrowth. You know, you can't do none of them without Ra. And that is no coincidence. Re-strengthen, regaining, re-establishing. Anything is possible with Ra. Right brain, left brain, the ability to fly. It's a falcon. It's a bird. Teru could fly. That's what we need. Manpower that can fly. Not weak man. See, they created weak-minded people. Why? Because that's the war. The war to take your land is to make you a weak-minded person. The war to take your land is to make you a diseased person. The war to take your land is to make you a person too strung out to care about it. This is a war. You understand that? Weapons are being used against you. Why? Because they silent. And I just want you to know it started in Virginia. And they worked themselves all the way around till they conquered every land. Because we have many lands. But we so focused on stuff that they programmed us to be worried about the wrong shit. Because we got to refocus back on our land. We got to refocus back on the soul. We got to refocus back on being those people that we always have been. The righteous people. We got to come back to the righteous. We got to come back to my laws. We got to come back to honoring the laws of the universe. We got to come back to tapping in the laws of nature. We got to come back into loving one another. We got to come back into doing the right thing when nobody is around because it's the right thing to do. We got to come back into the pureness of the heart. Because that's what we in the earth for, is to establish the righteousness in the heart. That's why Abraham couldn't find nobody in the earth whose heart was right. Because Abraham only gonna find you if your heart right. The fact I know who Abraham is and I'm able to give you this knowledge and I'm able to show you who Abraham is, so Abraham found me. Notice Ra is in Abraham. Notice arms is in Abraham. Notice it's a lot of things. I am is in Abraham, but I'm just saying, Abraham found I and I. So now I could, because I established the righteousness in my heart, that's how he found me. So now that he finds you, he could take you away from this land that ain't right. So you have to think, When you leave this land, you're going to a higher land. When you leave this land, you're going to an ancestral land. So this is a spiritual place. And everybody can't go. Some people is going down because they don't want to get their heart right. Some people will be destroyed because they lack knowledge. Some people will suffer. Only the meek shall inherit the earth, and that's the people who have righteousness in their heart because they established it. They established it through seeking and finding. They established it through the desire to have a righteous heart. You have to desire a righteous heart. You can't just assume you have one. You have to work on it. You have to work on the impurities of the heart. You have to work on forgiving people. You got to work on not lashing out at people because you angry. You got to learn how to work through your issues. You got to learn how to communicate. You got to learn how to reopen your heart back up after you have been, your heart been broken. You know? We experience things like that. We experience heartbreaking pain and we close our heart up. Our heart is our man. So then when we close our heart up, we start doing dumb things. Why? Because our man is no longer open. But most of us lack knowledge that our heart is our man because we wouldn't have never closed our heart if we knew that our man was going to close up with it. A lot of us have did dumb stuff. Why? Because the moment you close your heart, you close the door to Sophia. Wisdom said, I'm not dwelling in no malicious spirit. The moment you closed your heart, you became a malicious spirit. The moment you closed your heart, you became the enemy. The moment you closed your heart, that's when death, destruction, and all the 7 deadly sins and all the generational curses came upon you. Why? Because you closed your heart. That's how disease got in. That's how all this other war got in there. Why? Because it was about your heart. So once you start wising up, come to self-realization, start healing yourself, disease has to dissipate. Disease has to flee from your body. Disease is no longer welcome. Disease has nowhere to dwell. Why? Because you began the healing process. You began detoxing. You began purifying. You began remembering. You start laying hands. You start uprooting weeds. You start uprooting things that don't serve you. You start tending to your garden. Now you starting to plant beautiful flowers. Now you starting to harvest the fruits that grow. Now you starting to be able to use your vineyard to feed others. Now you able to provide others with somewhere to eat, somewhere to find peace, somewhere to inspire them. Now you become the light. So now you giving people hope. Now people can see themselves when they see you. Now people can see greatness in themselves when they see you. Now people can see if you did it, they could do it too. Now you back to being your Christ self. Now you back to being your God self. Now you back to being your healer self. Now you back being your shaman self. Now you back being your original self that they broke you down from being. It's all in you. They attacked your mind. They knew that you was the most powerful being They knew our minds was connected. They knew if they got in one of our minds, they got in all of our minds. All they had to do was just get one of us sick, and that sickness is gonna fled. That sickness is gonna spread like smallpox. All we gotta do is make one person feel disease. All we gotta do is make one person feel like they better than everybody else. All we need to do is make one person mess up the whole night. Just all we need is one fool. Just one fool. One low frequency being. That's all we need. If we could get one low frequency being, we got them. Just one. We catch one of them vibrating at a low frequency. We got their ass. So yeah, this just got personal. We gotta keep each other vibing high, cause if they get one of our asses, they got all of our asses. So I got to keep you uplifted, and you got to keep me uplifted. Cause damn it, they can't get us. We got to work together to keep each other up. They taught us to tear each other down, but we got to reverse the cycle by understanding what it is, understanding how the war really happened, understanding that we had the victory the whole time. These people gonna tell us that we lost the war. Damn it, I read the Bible. It say we won the war. It say victory has been mine. It say I already won the war in the beginning because it wasn't no war because I said it wasn't. It said the word is God. It said I got power to speak a life over anything. It say I got the power to change anything. It say I got the power to create realities. So you almost got in my mind and told me I wasn't a creator. You almost got in my mind and told me I wasn't God. You almost got in my mind and told me that you was inferior. No, you told me that you was superior and I was inferior. You almost had me. You almost had me. Then that knowledge of self kicked in. Then I realized I'm all things. So when I realized I'm all things, I realized if I let you separate me from anything, that's my fault. Because I got to know all is totality. I got to know all is everything. I got to not separate myself from nothing. You divided my man. My man was whole. I'm the author and the finisher of my own fate. So I am going to get my man back. You can keep yours out there lost if you want to. But I call my power back. Knowledge has gave me the instructions to do that. And I'm going to use it. So gratitude, beautiful people, for tapping in. Gratitude for watching. Gratitude for liking and subscribing. Yes, if you're watching the replay, please hit the like button. Gratitude. Yes, share the video. Watch it again if you had to. But I will be creating more content. I will be going live a little later. But I did want to do my job and come through and get these gems, get these messages, because these folk got us thinking this shit physical. It has never been physical. It has always been spiritual. So you got to spiritually learn how to fight back. Because if you fight back physically, you're going to lose. If you fight back physically, you'll be defeated. If you fight back physically, you are not doing nothing but helping the enemy to defeat your own self because you lack knowledge of how powerful yourself is. So you got to know your power so you can take it back, right? And your power is in numbers. Your power is in others. Your power is in strength. Your power is in your empire. The strong man. The Aztec technology. So I will talk to y'all beautiful people real soon as technology. Let me show y'all my picture. Yes, spiritual. You heard me. Wait a minute, hold on. Where my Aztec technology little thing at? That's my little thing. That's my little saying now. Oh, I don't got it. I don't got it in here. I didn't save it to this phone. Look at that before I go. That's your land. That's a lot of damn land. This only part of the map. That means when you went to school, they showed you a fragment. They showed you a piece of your land. And when they showed you a piece of your land, your mind became small. Because your mind started focusing on a piece. That broke your mind down. Because you no longer was peace. You started looking at little pieces. You know what I'm saying? Lost your piece. But now you worried about a piece of land. We used to just have land. Like anybody could just, hey, we got food over here. We got houses over there. We had land. We ain't had to fight over it. Nobody fought over anything. We had everything we needed. They came here and gave you that mindset. They didn't have shit. That's why they pilvished your women. So they gave you that mindset. Why? Because they didn't have shit. They gave you they switched mindsets. They gave you I don't got shit mindset. So now you don't got shit, so you willing to do whatever you gotta do to get something. Whether it's lie, cheat, steal, unalive, whatever you gotta do for it. That was their mindset. They switch roles. That's them. Let them folk have their shit back, man. Go heal and release and return shit back to sender, man. Let folk have their shit back, man. Get your rightful position back as being righteous and let them envy, jealous, negative, wicked people have their shit back, man. You let go of it. I'll talk to y'all later.